Welcome back to Get Lit, a series where I explore the mysterious and often elite world of literary fiction. Let's talk about short story collections. A short story collection is a book with multiple short stories, flash fiction pieces, sometimes one or two novellas, all presented in one book by a single author. If there are multiple authors, now it's an anthology. So, as I mentioned in What is a Short Story, short stories are, for many fiction writers, a foundational building block. Many writers will publish individual short stories in literary magazines, and then they'll come out with a short story collection. Sometimes all the stories have been previously published in literary magazines. Sometimes it's a mix. There might be some new material that's never been published or seen before. So for a collection, you really need some kind of uniting factor. So you might have a common theme, such as love or technology, a common setting. You might play with genre, so maybe all the stories have a speculative bent. Maybe they play with sci-fi. You could have reoccurring characters, or at a base level, maybe there's just a consistent style and voice and more movement in terms of the actual content itself. Really, in the composition of a short story collection, what you're aiming for is cohesion and resonance, I would say. You want a consistent vibe. So, a short story is designed to stand on its own, so the stories in a collection can stand on their own, but how do they take on more nuance, more meaning, different meaning when put in conversation with one another? There's also something called a short story cycle, sometimes called a novel in stories, and I'm going to do a whole separate Get Lit on this. I would say most major publishers don't typically publish a lot of short story collections. If any, it's typically smaller publications, small presses, etc. In part because the average reader doesn't usually gravitate towards short stories, much less a short story collection, because I think a lot of readers really latch on to characters. And so if there's, you read 20 pages, characters are gone, now moving on to new characters, that can be difficult for some readers. But also a lot of short story collections don't have a narrative pacing. They don't have building suspense or tension or momentum like a traditional novel. So what are some examples of short story collections? We've got Raymond Carver's What We Talk About When We Talk About Love, Lahiri's Interpreter of Maladies, Enriquez's